Hi and welcome to this new video about Semantic Kernel, and we are now starting to look at the most interesting part of Semantic Kernel, plugins. First of all, what it is a plugin? A plugin can be, like in this first example, a simple class written in C#. This is a simple class called audio video plugin in which I will contain some function that can be used to interact with a video. As an example, you can see I'm adding a description, and this is an attribute from system component model. It allows me to describe a class. And this description is important because this is what Semantic Kernel is seeing from this plugin. And this is the information that we'll see in a future video, Semantic Kernel will send to a large language model to use the plugin. For now, the plugin is class. It has some sort of configuration you need to pass to the plugin to use, and it has function. And every function that you want to be available to Semantic Kernel must contain the kernel function argument, and then they should contain the description. And when you define the function, each parameter, like the video file, should also have a description to specify what this parameter is expecting to be. In this situation, I'm showing a simple extract audio function that extracts audio in WAV from a video file, from an MP4 file. And the single parameter that I need is the video file parameter and is the full path of the video file. And the plugin code is not interesting per se. It's just using ffmpeg running through a process invoke, and it's very, very simple. I just want you to understand that a plugin in Semantic Kernel can indeed be a simple C# class with function, just with special attributes to describe the plugin. And this is the standard notebook in which I am creating a kernel object, enable logging, because it's important. I want to enable the log. And here you have the code where I simply create a logger, create a config, and I'm creating a real instance of the class you've seen before. So this is the audio video plugin class I showed you before. And once you've created a class that has some method that in turn has some special parameter like kernel function, you can use the function that is called import plugin from object, in which you can give to the kernel object the instance of the plugin you want to use and a name to the plugin. In this situation, the audio video plugin. As you can see, I can simply importing like usual, and this time I have import where I am simply importing the class for my plugin. I create the kernel and I'm importing the audio video plugin. And the important thing is, as you can see from the trace, Semantic Kernel, when I pass the instance of the class, examine the instance of the class, and it is telling me that I have created kernel function extract audio for extract audio. Then you have another function that is called transcription timeline. And finally, it tells me that it indeed creates a plugin called audio video plugin, and it has 2 kernel functions out of 8 methods found. So the other methods are internal methods of the class. So it using only the methods that are marked with kernel function. So a recap: to create a plugin with C#, you create a class, you use the description attribute to describe both the class, both the method, and both parameters. And then you must also put the kernel function argument attributes to all the method that you want to be imported as a plugin. Okay, and that's how you import the plugin. Now, with the audio video plugin, and I remember you that when you call the import plugin from object, you get a kernel plugin in return. You can examine this kernel plugin just to look at all the function. Okay, so the plugin object itself, it's an iterable, it's an object that can be iterated, and for each iteration you got a kernel function in return. Okay, so if I'm running this code, it's a description audio and video plugin for Semantic Kernel. And so you see it grabbed the description from my attribute, okay? And I have number of function 2. So I have only 2 functions marked with the kernel function attribute. And then for each function, you can extract audio in WAV format from an MP4 file. And I have another function that we didn't see, but it's simple, transcript timeline. So everything is simple, okay? Creating an object, importing a plugin, and Semantic Kernel has everything it needs to use it. In the very basic form of interaction, you can simply use the audio video plugin get before. You can use try get function to try extracting a function given its name. I know that there is an extract audio function. And then I have function. This is a kernel function, like the one you see before as the function I used to call a large language model. But this time the function is a function that is calling one object made by me. And so I can use always the kernel argument. So the way you're interacted with the kernel function is the same. Even if the function is a function that goes to a large language model, or is a function that goes to your C# classes that does perform things. In the situation, I use a video file. So I have a folder where I have my video file, okay? And then I simply pass this video to the function, and I'm simply calling the function. So as you can see, it starts running code, but it's trivial. So you say, what is the advantage of having one object passing to the kernel so you can extract plugin and blah, blah, blah. The important thing is in such a way you can and you will indeed use the plugin through the kernel. So kernel can know your plugin, and we will see in the future it can use by itself automatically deciding that to accomplish a task, you need to use this plugin. So this is the very basic form of interaction with the plugin. You simply interact with the plugin and you call the plugin directly from Semantic Kernel using the standard kernel function method you saw in previous video. And as you can see, I don't know why in the Polyglot notebook, ffmpeg needs such a huge amount of time. In the command line, it's almost instantaneous, and in the standard C# program, it's almost instantaneous. In Polyglot notebook, needs sometimes a lot of times. And okay, that's the output, and it tells me, okay, blah, 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 blah. And extract audio result, it's a string. So the plugin actually return a string, and the string is gtemp ssk.wav, and it's indeed the WAV file of my video file. It's the audio extracted from my video in WAV format. So as you can see, it was very simple code. To recap, you can create plugin for Semantic Kernel with C# code. You just need to use description object for class, method, and parameters. You need to use also the kernel function attributes to mark all the methods of the object that you want to be used as a plugin. And then you need to import the plugin into the kernel. In a very basic way, you can simply create an instance of the plugin and then use a special function of the kernel to import function from the C# object you have in memory. And in return, you have the simple object that it's a wrapper for the plugin. It's a kernel plugin that in turn contains kernel function. And as usual, you can invoke kernel function with the standard syntax with kernel arguments we saw throughout all the video of this course. So I hope you enjoy this. And as usual, if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye.